Our October Hidden History object relates to a series of books in the archives that were published by a man that many knew as Mr. Sam, a local plantation owner in Georgetown County and the owner of the Small Arms Technical Publishing Company. Thomas Garvine Samworth was born to Fred and Elizabeth Samworth on October 25, 1888, in Wilmington, Delaware. As young Thomas grew up on the family's rural farm, he developed what would become his lifelong love of hunting and firearms, even saving his pocket money to buy ammunition rather than sweets and other treats. Thomas joined the U.S. Army in 1916 and was shipped to Texas as part of the 6th Cavalry and was promoted to lieutenant. He eventually went to work for E.I. DuPont in Wilmington and put his knowledge of munitions to good use and became known as an expert on the subject. After leaving DuPont, Thomas became editor for the Journal for the National Rifle Association, changing the name of the publication to the American Rifleman to better reflect the readership. His knack for knowing who and what to publish helped to increase the membership and interest in shooting sports during the 1920s. It was during his time as editor that Thomas began to realize that reasonably priced reference books would be of interest to his readers. The book Amateur Gunsmithing was published in 1925, and the first printing sold out quickly. Unfortunately, the director of the NRA, Colonel Sandy McNabb, wasn't as enthusiastic, and eventually Thomas left the group to pursue the printing of his second title, this time under his own printing house, the Small Arms Technical Publishing Company. Thomas would continue to publish books through his publishing company, and over time, more than 40 books would bear the SAPCO emblem. By 1928, Samworth's beloved Wilmington, Delaware was experiencing a post-World War I building boom, and he decided to relocate to a more rural area of Onslow County, North Carolina. His new location was perfect for the outdoor enthusiast, and he continued to print his books from his new location. In 1932, his books cost $4 each, give or take a few pennies. For some, this was almost a week's wages, and Samworth realized that he needed to create a new series of affordable books. His Small Sams were half price and included titles such as Firearms Bluing and Browning by R.H. Angier, Telescopic Rifle Sights by Townsend Whelan, and 6-gun cartridges and loads by Elmer Keith. By the late 1930s, his North Carolina location grew contentious as his property was located next door to what would become Camp Lejeune training camp for the United States Marine Corps. When his 700-plus acres were condemned under orders of eminent domain, he fought hard to retain the rights to his beloved estate. Eventually, he was compensated 1/3 of his purchase price, and he relocated to Georgetown, South Carolina, purchasing first Exchange Plantation in 1940 and eventually Darlington Plantation by 1945. He was captivated by the coastal geography and quickly assumed the role of the quintessential gentleman plantation owner. The plantation, originally named Richfield, was renamed by Edward Thomas Harriot in 1854 after his ancestral home in Scotland. The property passed by his son Robert, who exchanged it for neighboring Birdfield, which was owned by his sister Mary and her husband Dr. James Sparkman. The plantation home was built by Sparkman in the late 1850s and comprised of 3 floors and a spacious 23 rooms. By 1945, when Thomas Samworth purchased the property, he moved his wife and family to his new home, using the plantation house as office, warehouse, and shipping department. During World War II, he was able to continue printing his books, despite the rationing on paper, convincing the government that his firearms technical literature would make a contribution to the war effort. During this period, Samworth began to utilize the free advertising his published books offered, placing ads for other books on any available space, including book jackets, back panels, and blank pages in the back of the book. Promoting his other titles helped to make his list of publications grow from 1 page to several, and soon detailed descriptions helped readers to choose which books to order from the Plantersville publisher. In 1948, Georgetown became the publishing location as the United States Postal Service picked up mail service to Duralton Plantation. Samworth's friendship with his neighbor, Alex Quattlebaum, owner of neighboring Arundel Plantation, helped him publish one of his most well-known books, The American Wild Turkey. Quattlebaum introduced Samworth to the writer Henry E. Davis, and Samworth was so impressed by the manuscript he paid him $2,000, double his original offer. By the 1950s, Samworth's publishing company was slowing down, and his last publication, Earl Narramore's Principles and Practice of Loading Ammunition, was published in 1954. He sold his remaining stock to Stackpole Publishing, and in his retirement, Samworth was able to pursue his other passions, namely the wildlife surrounding Duralton. An avid birdwatcher, photographer, and champion of wildlife conservation, Thomas Samworth understood the importance of protecting what was around him, and in 1962 he gave his plantation to the state of South Carolina. In a later interview he stated, "I always enjoyed hunting and wildlife, and the sportsmen of this country were always good to me, and I wanted to do something for them. We've got all kinds of hunting here. It's the best in the state." South Carolina paid him tribute in 1978 when they renamed the Pee Dee Game Management Area the Thomas G. Samworth Game Management Area. At the same time, he was awarded the Order of the Palmetto, the state's highest honor award. Thomas G. Samworth died at Duralton Plantation on December 28, 1981, and is buried with his wife Dora on the plantation property. Today, the Samworth Wildlife Management Area is operated by the Department of Natural Resources, and it manages a total of 1,588 acres. 1,300 acres of wetland impoundments, 200 acres of upland and agricultural fields, and 88 acres of longleaf pine. It offers a public boat launch, nature trails, bird watching, river access, and much, much more.